Everybody. Sorry, I'm like so super late today, but it's just been one of those days, right? That song was going through my head just now. And you know what the amazing thing I thought of? By the way, welcome in and good morning. Happy Friday to everyone. Um, what I thought about this morning, because I'm going to spend the day talking about the tea and why it's been so beneficial to not only my health, but so many other people's health with all of the things above. So, how can one simple glass of tea do all of the things I talk about? We're going to talk about it today in specific in areas that the tea is helping. I'll talk about the fiber on another day, but the system that I use to get over my diabetes is simply a tea that I have twice a day and a pre-meal drink that I have, including 7 different types of fiber before I eat anything. That's what moved the needle on my health. That's what got me off of 13 medications. That's what's been helping people around the world do the same thing. That's what's giving us our health back in a real and sustainable way that is building more health instead of tearing it down. I want to share before I start talking about the tea. I have my stories. We all have our stories, but this one story is why I get so I spent a lot of time last night thinking about all the doctors I worked for and went to, and all the times I was never told about what's happening with my health. That's why I'm here talking to you guys. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not any of that. I'm a real person like you guys who was suffering with a number of these things up here and couldn't get help. So that's why I'm here talking about it. But what I want to say is I remember when I was working in an allergy clinic, this woman came in and she was so visibly frustrated when I brought her into a room and was doing her intake. And I got to the part where it was like, what medications are you currently on? She just literally started having tears stream down her face, handed me 2 bags of medication, and said, "You deal with it. I don't know how to anymore." I don't even know how she kept track of what she was taking. So I had to take those, go put them into our EMR, electronic medical records system. But even with that, even with things already populating with the correct dosages, or a selection of dosages that makes it so super fast, in a half an hour, I wasn't able to get through all of her medications. In that half hour, I was also able to see, oh, hey, this was her primary cause. She told me what her primary issue was. And so when I found that medication and then saw the side effects for it, I started to realize that almost every other drug in her 2 bags of medication were just this avalanche of symptoms caused by a medication that was supposed to be making her better. So medication A caused symptoms B and C, and then the medications for those caused, symptoms D, E, F, and then she was given more medication and then more, and she ended up with 2 bags of medications. And who knows if they were all necessary, but most of the medications she was on were to manage the symptoms that another medication gave her. Am I saying am I totally against medications? No. But am I totally for a way that's not going to cause all of that for you? Yes. And I lived it. I was on 13 medications myself, and now I'm not. So let's dive into, if you all will. First of all, how many of you guys resonate with what I just said? How many of you feel like you're going in and you're just being given a prescription and, whoops, and all of a sudden you're having more symptoms, and then you're being given another medication, or you're being given more tests, and then at some point your doctor is just like, this one really frustrates me. The doctors then, and I've heard many do it and I've heard many stories, will say, there's nothing wrong with you, it's all in your head. Or have you been told, well, of course you're sick, you're obese, lose some weight and you'll start to feel better. All of this will go away if you would just lose some weight. Have you heard either one of those things? Or have you been in and like I started just bringing in a list because I would get so traumatized by physicians and the way they would talk to me that I just started making a list. Okay, I don't know how all of this connects, but this is everything that I'm sick with, and I need you to know everything, because maybe if you know everything, then you'll figure out what's wrong. And that never happened. Diane, thank you for your vulnerability, because I know that the majority of us feel the same way. Now look, I have doctors that I loved working for. I had doctors that I thought were just complete asses. They're people, they're human beings just like us. I have a nurse friend who said, sometimes I get triggered, Misha, because you're so smart and you just seem to remember things. And I'm a nurse and I don't remember all of these things and I should. And I'm like, honey, how many doctors have you been to that did remembered everything or didn't have to go look something up? So many doctors that I worked for, patient would come in, they'd be given symptoms, and behind the scenes when the doctor is leaving the room, they're looking up these symptoms, they're looking up all this stuff to be able to come back and talk to you about what's going on. So if most physicians don't even know everything and are having to look stuff up, because it's a lot of information to hold, I'm not damning them. How are any of us supposed to be able to deal with that as well? So back to the health history thing. Um, I was frustrated, like I know many of you guys are, and I was just tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And at one point, I was willing to do almost anything. My blood pressure was out of control. I knew I was doing damage to my heart. My weight was spiraling. My joints were failing. I was so dizzy, I could hardly walk. I couldn't drive anymore, really, because it was a dangerous proposition. So many things. Walker cane, disability plates on my car. And I was just frustrated. I'm like, how did I go from being a world champion athlete with 4 world gold medals, everyone I competed at, to being this woman who can't even walk, much less get up and exercise or even think about picking up a bar to deadlift, or maybe I was bench pressing still. I could still do that because I laid down, right? But I couldn't squat anymore. How did that all happen? And yet I had been going. I went to the gym bro who trained bodybuilders and other athletes. I went to nutritionists. I went to doctors, and nobody was getting me better. In fact, that gym bro, who I absolutely adore, said, Misha, I'm going to take care of you. I got this. I have my degree in nutrition and sports physiology and all this stuff. And I'm going to write you a program and I'm going to write your food and we're going to take care of this. He did that. I followed it to the T for 3 months. Went back to him, said, haven't lost any weight, haven't gained really any strength outside of what I would normally expect. I'm still sick. And he literally looked at all the stuff and said, I don't know what to do with you. I've never had someone like you that I couldn't just help. So you're going to have to find somebody else because I don't know what to do. On top of that, I had a doctor that I worked for, and we specifically dealt with hormones and weight loss. And so we ran all these panels on me, and some of them were blood, and some of them were urine, and some of them were saliva. And I can talk about those another day or later today. But we did all of these tests to try and figure out, one thing was to see what was the most accurate and how my hormones changed based on the tests, and then just to try and figure out my metabolism. And when my metabolic reports came in and I gave them to her, I'm like, woohoo, now we have some answers. We're going to take care of this issue. I'm not going to be fat and sick anymore. And she ended up, between patients, when we had a break, she ended up calling me into her office and she said, let's talk about those reports. And she looked really sad. I mean, she was genuinely sad. At the end of the day, what she told me was, you have the worst metabolic type I've ever seen or that I could have expected to see on this report. And there's nothing I can do for you. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about the T. I'm going to get there, but I wanted you to understand why I do what I do, because I'm just like you guys. I'm just the same. I didn't know any of this when I started, but because I was frustrated with not getting answers and with the medications that were making me more sick, I had to find a better way. So when I stumbled on the system I'm going to be talking about, and it actually changed my health, rapidly changed my health compared to what I was getting from all of those drugs. I was shocked, and I was like, I know so many people who need this very thing, and I'm all about trying to do things in a more natural way, although I'm not like, my needle doesn't go one way or the other too far, but that's why we're here. So just understand that if you've been told no, if you've just been told to lose weight, if you've just been handed bags of pills and you're frustrated, we're going to talk about some things right now that can help you. My link tree should not be blank. Let me check it. Um, and I don't know what so when I click on that link and let me see, Mama, I will try to send you the link directly after the live. You can also find the replay of this on YouTube. There's a QR code there, and yeah, I just opened it up and it pops up. And this happens, I think, one of my daughter-in-law who used to do technology stuff all the time, she said, just have them refresh. Sometimes the cache is, not cleared, or our new phones get a little touchy. But every time this happens and I send the link out, all the people who test it for me tell me it's there. You went to my link tree and it won't load. Then it might be a TikTok thing within TikTok's link because it's not showing it. Well, no, because I just did it on TikTok. Let me see if it shows up here. Let me try and put it in here. Will it let me comment even on my own here today? Yeah, swipe out of the app and come back. Diane, thank you. So you guys, and I will try to, if you message me privately after the live, I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with all of the people who are saying that, but I'll try and get you the links. But I do want you to have your hands on this, and we're about to dive in now why. But you have some backstory as to why I'm here, and please, like, I love all the accolades you guys give me. I love all the love you give me, but I'm like right at the same level as you guys. Okay, I'm right there too. I'm just human and just struggling to get life under control in today's world, and that's why I love this system. Um, I was asked to represent, like my mother and my sister did DoTerra, which I love DoTerra, but it was just too difficult and too complex. This is one thing that's affecting 93% of us, and out of that 93%, 95% of our health issues are directly related to this. So this is why I'm talking about it. Let's get to the tea. Spill some tea today. So you see me drinking this tea, and I'm going to mix it up right now. This is the tea, and it's in my link in bio. And those of you who can't get it, just message me and I'll get it to you. But this tea, it's this simple. Wherever I go, next week I'm going to be traveling and I'll be out of my area, living out of a suitcase. I don't want to have to worry about tea bags or finding a spot to brew tea, or getting hot water in an airport, or any, on the airplane. I just have to have water and a bottle. Water and a bottle. I tear open the packet just like that. And then, so this is one about 20-ounce bottle of water. You get it with the system. I just put the tea in here, and I need the tea this morning. My brain, because I was up late, I couldn't shut my brain down. And then when I finally got to sleep a couple hours later at 3 a.m., somebody called me and I had not turned my phone off, and then I couldn't get back to sleep. So my brain needs this tea, and that's it. So I put it in, shake it up. This one's lemon ginger, so it tastes like a lemonade with some ginger in it, which is one of the things I used to do before I found the system. I made this weird drink every morning that had lemon and ginger. Sometimes I would put cayenne or cinnamon in it. You can still do that with this, but it makes it portable. So look, we're going to talk about all of these things with the tea. I want to start with cardiovascular health. How many of you guys have high blood pressure, know someone with high blood pressure, have racing heart or regular heartbeats, any of that going on, and you're worried about your health? And look, if you have a blood pressure of 130 over 80 or higher, and you're not worried about your health, I don't want to be one of those fear mongers, but I want to share something. I love to talk about cardiovascular health because it was one of the biggest afflictions I had. My blood pressure was 150 over 110. Sometimes it would go up to, and daily it would go up to about 180 over 150. Some woman said in one of my comments, I don't think she said that's BS. She just said, well, if your blood pressure, if your systolic was 150 or higher for that long, you would have heart problems. Well, newsflash, I don't talk about it so much because it's one of the things I've been struggling with this year, that, yeah, my heart has been weakened by that long-term hypertension. So why is hypertension extremely important to me? Because I'm living through the effects of what happens when you don't get it under control. Do not be the person who says, "Oh, it's only like 130 over 80. I'm safe." No, that increase in your blood pressure long term can really damage your health and your longevity. Please take care of it now. This is how the tea helps. So with cardiovascular health, and I have notes, you guys, because I in no way could remember all of this off the top of my head. So we're going to go over it. It helps lower your blood pressure. So there's a couple of components in the tea that we're going to talk about and focus on today. Chlorogenic acids, theobromine, mate saponins, and triterpenoid saponins. So I'm going to go over what each one of those does or benefits our body from, and they're all present in the tea. It's amazing how many things that these four components overlap in the tea to give you this amazing healthy tea that's saving lives like mine around the world. So it lowers your blood pressure. Chlorogenic acids have been shown to lower your blood pressure, both by giving healthy hypertensive by helping blood vessel function and dilation. That's chlorogenic acid, but theobromine also helps by acting as a vasodilator, helping open blood vessels back up. So chlorogenic acids are helping, theobromines are helping. Now we have a multi-attack approach to your cardiovascular health, but it doesn't stop there. Okay. So when we look at the theobromine and its vasodilation, that's going to help bring the blood pressure down. But back to chlorogenic acid, it also improves cardiovascular function by reducing cholesterol and triglycerides. And that's huge in preventing atherosclerosis. Okay, so both the tea and the fiber, which I'm not going to get too in depth with today, have this effect of lowering triglycerides in your system, which is actually where that plaque is starting from and in the atherosclerosis. And so that's both the tea and the fiber are helping with that directly. Now, I want to pause for a second because I know there'll be people out there that are like, yeah, whatever. All of these benefits, you guys, when I did the research, and I will be doing a lengthy blog post about this sometime later this week or maybe next, but I will include the citations. They're all based on scientific papers that say these components do this. So now we're going to go back into these components in the tea, why I love it so much, and we're going to tell you why this tea is different than the others. So we have that. Now, the mate saponins and theobromine both have been proven to help increase HDL levels and decrease the LDL levels. Just the tea are going in your body and helping you increase that HDL and decrease the LDL. So if you're wondering, am I insulin resistant? One of the calculations involves your triglycerides and your HDL. So that ratio of your triglyceride number divided by your HDL number gives you a score. That score can give you an indication of how insulin resistant you are. So if you do that, we'll pause for a second. If you divide your triglycerides by your HDL, your score should ideally be below 1.5. Now, both Ben Bickman, my favorite metabolic scientist, and the NIH talk about it being below 1.5. But more recent research, as they're diving into insulin resistance, is saying that they really ideally want that number below 1. So now it's really important to keep the triglyceride number low, that HDL number high, and that helps with balancing the LDL. It's also the only indicator for us that tells us how much of the type A or type B LDL we're accumulating in the body. More type B LDL means that we're becoming insulin resistant and we're at a higher risk for cardiovascular diseases. So this reduction of triglycerides and increase or LDL and increase of HDL is hugely important to your heart health. But triterpenoid saponins, they're the one that I'm not as familiar with. They can decrease cholesterol absorption from the gut, and increase cholesterol excretion. So now, instead of your body holding on to that cholesterol and trying to figure out where to put it, and it ends up clogging up your bloodstream, it's helping you get rid of or expel that excess cholesterol. So the tea, you just get it's a system. So 2 tea, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and the fiber that you have before your biggest meal of the day. So in the fiber, you guys, we'll talk about the fiber, but it's all in my profile link. You'll get the low price guarantee when you go there. You're going to get it directly from the company. So no knockoffs, no scams, no any of that, which we find a lot on Amazon, eBay, Walmart. So please don't go there. And I just had a conversation with someone else who said they had a person on their live, went to Amazon, thought, oh, I'm going to save money. I'll just get it here. And what they ended up getting was just the fiber. They paid more for just the fiber than somebody would for the entire system. Please don't do that to yourself. Plus, you get to have access to me when you use that link. So use the link in my profile. If you're having troubles with it here, I have It's Brilliant Health with Misha on both Facebook and YouTube, and all the information is stored there, as well as links, other links. It could be a TikTok issue. So this is the fiber, and I'm going to take it today. So I talked about my heart. We are talking about heart. One of the reasons I've been drinking the fiber in the morning in vulnerability, which is something I haven't really shared until now, but I've been encouraged, is that heart damage, right? So as my heart is struggling and we're working to get it better, one of the things I've experienced, and you hear me talk about it a lot, is an upset gut. There's just like this metallic-y, weird, achy pain in my gut that's almost like acid reflux, but not quite, and it just won't seem to go away. And it's extremely uncomfortable, and it makes me sometimes feel like, oh, if I just put something in my gut, I would feel better. So it's really easy, especially with ADHD and autism, to just go grab something to shove in my face. It's absolutely not what I want to do. So I'm going to drink the fiber because it's going to coat my gut and help calm down that feeling that I'm having that's linked to my heart, right? So here we go. I mix this up and let it set too long every morning. Now, was it hard to drink? No. But was it thicker than I like? No. Yes, yes. So has a light orange taste, kind of tastes like a light orange creamsicle, but this is what's happening in my gut right now. This is what's helping me not have that pain from my heart that's weakened. Um, this goes in and helps that. Now I can do this instead of a slice of bread or something, not spike my insulin, not break my fast, give my gut the help that it needs in this moment, because it's been happening a lot for me in the morning, which is not a very comfortable thought for me, knowing the implications. But in vulnerability, that's why I do this. Now I drink more than one of the fiber a day, because I use this for my gut health as well as my glucose regulation. So I will still have it later today when I'm with my grandson and we have an amazing dinner together. Those are both of the products. Now back to the tea. This does help with cholesterol levels as well. It helps with the same type of thing that theobromine is doing. It's helping us get that lipid out of our system before it's absorbing too much into the system. So this is amazing with the tea. Now back to the tea. So how does it affect diabetes and insulin resistance? How many of you guys are suffering or have diabetes, insulin resistance, prediabetes? We're going to get into even type 3 diabetes like Alzheimer's and how this is directly affecting that, because the tea is so powerful. But this is what happens when you're diabetic and you're drinking this tea. Okay, so the anti-diabetic effects in it, the chlorogenic acids can help reduce your fasting blood sugar levels and insulin spikes after meals. So the tea alone in the morning when you wake up, that fasting blood sugar level that's been so skyrocket high, this helps reduce that morning spike of blood sugar or fasting blood sugar. But it's also helping with insulin sensitivity and glucose control by helping keep insulin spikes down after meals. So I get a lot of confusion, you guys. There is no, like, you just watched me. I drank this, I'm still drinking this. There is nothing that says you can't have these two at the same time. Can't tell you how many times I mix up this, sit down to my meal, and have a tea while I'm eating my meal. amazing, but it's helping you with some satiety, but it's also helping you with the glucose levels, both in a fasted state and just after you eat when you're drinking the tea. Okay. And you know what? I want to stop and say thank you, Jim, the barbecue guy. If any of you guys know him, I was watching him yesterday and I was like, you know what? I haven't done this talk for a long time and we need to. So thanks, Jim, for getting me back on track. Um, Okay, so improved glucose metabolism, the saponins, like the triterpenoid and mate saponins in this. So the chlorogenic acids are helping with that, but the saponins in this are also happening to help with insulin sensitivity and glucose metabolism, and that, of course, keeping your blood sugars under control. So it really helps in a number of ways with controlling your insulin resistance, primarily by helping you with those blood sugar levels. Crazy stuff from a tea. English tea is not going to have these same effects. Uh, any of those like celestial seasonings teas, they're just not going to do the same. It's the specific components from this yerba mate plant that are doing this. Now, when we look at weight loss, because weight loss and obesity always seem to go, or weight gain and obesity always seem to go with diabetes. And there's a good reason why that happens. But chlorogenic acids are helping in that aid in that weight loss by reducing body fat, by lowering triglycerides and inhibiting fat absorption and production. And it also increases fat oxidation. So chlorogenic acids may help in reducing body weight and fat by improving metabolism and reducing all that absorption. So now we're attacking diabetes and the weight gain that goes along with diabetes by allowing you to get that back off. Newsflash, the bigger your cells get, the more insulin resistant your entire body is getting, and the closer you're getting to diabetes. So we want to get those fat cells emptied and help reduce the risk of having those high blood sugars and whatnot in the morning, because your body now can utilize the energy properly. But the mate saponins, they may aid in weight loss by increasing your metabolism, by just giving you more energy, and with that fat oxidation, as well as reducing fat absorption. And that's really important. We we need some fat. We need some fat. Our bodies are designed to carry some fat as energy stores. We don't need as much fat as we have on our bodies now. How many of you guys understand this feeling completely? Let me know if you do, because I still struggle with that, especially with my heart now and whatnot. But we just have more fat on our bodies than we really typically need as human beings. And this is helping reduce that. Um, but back to chlorogenic acids, it's the same thing. They're helping with metabolism by improving metabolism and decreasing fat absorption. But so we've talked about heart, how there's all four of the components in this are helping with heart. Primarily the chlorogenic acids and the mate saponins. There's four words jumbling around in my head. The chlorogenic acids and the mate saponins are primarily what's addressing the diabetic and obesity parts of this. But wait, because the saponins in it have a lot to do with some other things. So we're going to talk about anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. How many of you guys hear about um, inflammation or oxidative stress or any of those, or antioxidants all the time, and you're like, well, yeah, but why is it so important? Why does that matter? Oxidative stress in the cells are actually, cells that are stressed like that are actually more insulin resistant than cells that are not. Plus, it's giving you a whole lot of free radicals, which are going out damaging other cells in the body. The tea has multiple components in it that are helping with this anti-inflammatory, antioxidant issue by doing this. So the chlorogenic acids help with the antioxidant activity, reducing that oxidative stress and increasing antioxidant proteins like glutathione, vitamin C and E, and it lowers the level of reactive oxygen species, or ROS, in those oxidative proteins. So By reducing oxidative stress and inflammation, chlorogenic acids then help in protecting cells and tissues from damage because oxidative stress, remember, these free radicals that are going out there, these reactive oxygen species, they're damaging your other cells. So when we get that under control, the whole of your cellular health starts to look better. Okay. Um, but the saponins in it, the triterpenoid saponins, the mate saponins, contribute to the overall antioxidant capacity of yerba mate by helping reduce oxidative stress and also protecting cells from damage. So chlorogenic acids and the mate saponins are both attacking that. Again, I don't know about you guys. I'm going to pause for a second. Does anybody else find this amazing? To me, when I was doing all this research and I'm like, okay, these are all the benefits of all these components. Now let's kind of mush them together and see where they collide or intersect. And it's amazing to me how many of these components of the tea actually intersect. And I think that's important because when we have just one component fighting this battle inside our bodies, it's a little harder to get there. But this also explains when we have this onslaught of these four main components, and there are so many others in the tea, but these are the four we're talking about today. When you have this multi-factor approach to all of these issues, now we can understand why the tea is helping move the needle on so many people's health so rapidly. And it's as simple as drinking, and the tea tastes like kind of like a light lemonade or a lemon tea, but not like, oh man, I've had some herbal teas that I could hardly choke down. This doesn't taste like that. And you can have it hot or cold. Okay. Or lukewarm if that's all you got. It doesn't matter. Just drink it. So we talked about chlorogenic acids, we talked about saponins and the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, but the the saponins in yerba mate. So you have these different pathways in your body, and this isn't important for you to remember the specific number, but they modulate the NFKB pathway, resulting in anti-inflammatory effects that can help manage conditions associated with chronic inflammation. So now, not only are we helping with inflammation and oxidative stress, but that chronic inflammation that could be leading to, I don't know, maybe autoimmune disease or joint deterioration or a number of other things, this can help with that chronic inflammation as well. So, there we go again. So the mate saponins help with that, but the theobromine actually does a very similar action in the body. And the triterpenoid saponins, remember there's four we're talking about today. The triterpenoid saponins have been shown to possess significant anti-inflammatory effects that can help manage those conditions as well. So mate saponins are actually triterpenoid saponins, theobromine, and chlorogenic acids, a trifold effect on antioxidants or oxidative stress and inflammation in your body. Why does it work so well? Because this is a complete approach to all of it, naturally occurring, not in some medication that's causing damage other places. So we get to cognitive and mental health. So you guys, I want to share a little bit of a story with this too. This really has helped my cognitive health. What I was starting to say was this morning I could tell that I hadn't had a tea when I was preparing for this. I was struggling. I just couldn't keep my mind focused, and you see a little bit of it now. And so I'm like kind of happy that that happened, because this tea really does bring me in and give me this cognitive function back that I've always had. So I went through a really brutal divorce years ago, and so bad that it was like I walked into the courtroom one day in this small town in North Idaho, and like the entire foyer was packed. And I remember looking at my attorney and saying, wow, this is crazy. I've never seen the courthouse like this. What's going on? Whose case are all these people here for? Because there were other attorneys and just whatnot from around the United States that were there. And she said, honey, it's your case. So my case was so volatile. back then that we had people from across the nation coming in to watch the case and study the case and talk about the case. And so part of what happened with the divorce was I was not in a good mental state. I was from childhood abuse, from marital abuse. I was in a horrible mental state, and I'm really glad that the courts did it. But they ordered some counseling. We had to do a course. Um, I can't remember, family life skills is what it was called at the time. But part of it also was we had to go to a psychologist and have an assessment. Now the test was supposed to take like 3 days is what normally they went through. I sat down with the test and I think I had it done in 2.5 hours or something. And when I took the papers up, the receptionist was shocked. She said, "Are you sure that you answered this correctly and that you got all the answers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." Like, I didn't know it was supposed to be some big complicated test. Um, and it's not a pass fail test. It's like getting through your personality. But one of the things they found, and I haven't talked about it a lot because I'm not a braggart, but um, my IQ actually tested out to be right below genius level, which really pissed off my ex-husband. So all of that to say, I've always had really great mental acuity and reasoning skills when it comes to science, but I had lost that. I couldn't remember names, I couldn't remember facts, I couldn't remember what I talked about 2 minutes ago, and my mental acuity was failing me. And it was so bad, and it was a piece of me that I was so proud of that I remember crying. And I at the time, Steph Coke 1111, she and I are really good friends and have been for a while now. But we were building a business working on subconscious reprogramming or helping people. She was dealing with vets who had been through PTSD. It's a really tough field. And it was really, although she wants to help, it was really hard. Um, I can't even explain. And I was dealing with women who had sexual abuse and trauma like I had had. So we were working together and we had to put together podcasts and do talks and stuff a lot. And I was always, my mind just was not able to stay on track with the calls. And I was slower in my speech, and I couldn't function, I couldn't focus, and I had no energy. And one day, about 3 days after starting the system and starting this tea, we got on our weekly call. I didn't tell her anything was different. I didn't tell her I had done anything. And she stopped the meeting partway through and she goes, "Whoa, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. I want to stop you. I want to know what you did." I'm like, "What do you mean what I did?" And she said, "Well, you're like you're not forgetting things. You're not struggling to talk. Your speech is better. You have more energy. You did something. What did you do?" So I told her about the system and I told her about some of the other benefits I'd been seeing, and she ordered the system. Actually, started doing the business without even trying the system because she saw how well it worked for me. So back to cognitive function. Cognitive function has always been important to me, but it was failing. And I want women to know that at around the age of 50, man, this might be hard to hear, but women typically before the age of 50 have a bit better mental acuity. We just don't have the same emotional walls that men have. Walls is not the proper word, but at around the age of 50, there's this shift that happens between males and females. Men's cognitive function does not decline as rapidly as women's do. So people who've been in relationships and the husband's always relied on the wife for, her to be pretty sharp and on point, and he's just doing his thing. Now he's still just doing his thing, but this woman that he's known that's always been really strong mentally is starting to fail and she can't remember things and she kind of seems like a ditz, and it causes strife in the relationship. It's a normal factor of what's happening because of the difference in our hormones, but it doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to plague women so much. I got my mental acuity back. I feel like maybe not I was as strong as I was when I was 36 or 40, but wow, what a difference for me in how I'm able to think and process and do this research and help you guys do all of that. So this piece was important to me, just like the heart piece was important to me. And the tea Why is it working? So this is what it's doing. It can improve your cognitive function by helping protect against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's by inhibiting acetylcholine, I can never say this one, acetylcholinesterase, and protecting dopaminergic neurons. Okay, so dopamine is the feel good part of our hormones, right? So one of the issues with insulin resistance and aging is that we have a reduction in normalized dopamine. So, the tea, Andy Bo. Uh, Try it on YouTube. I'm almost positive there's something with TikTok because I've had people say the link is working for them. So it's either that your Diane just said earlier, maybe leave the app and come back. Not sure why. I've tried to uninstall and reinstall that link. I'm not sure why it's got that. But if I click on the link, it takes me right to my link tree. I was trying to put that in a comment here, and it's not letting me even comment. Here we go. Let's see if I can let me know if this shows up because sometimes TikTok doesn't like me to put links. So if the link shows up, can somebody put a 1 in the chat if the link is actually showing up over there? Just let me know. Did it show up? Is it still not showing? So I can help you guys out. Can anybody see the link that I just put in? Anybody? No link. That's why. So TikTok blocks some of that stuff. Now I don't know why. Let's see. I can give you. Why don't we do this? I'm going to put my information in here. Text me a message. I will get you the link. Okay. That should be showing up. That's my number. Just text that, and I will get you the link. So, or you can try it over on YouTube or Facebook at Brilliant Health with Misha. Yeah, I need to get a hold of TikTok and find out why they're throttling my link because it works fine for me. And every time I send it out to people, it's working fine for them too. So I get frustrated with this as much as you guys do because I don't know what to do about it. All right, so back to the chlorogenic acids. Yeah, just message me and I'll get it to you. You can message me here on the app too, and I'll get it to you here. Sometimes when I do it in direct message, it shows up different. But it's definitely a TikTok issue. All right, so back to that. So now, not only are we getting the neuroprotective expression from chlorogenic acids, we're getting it from the mate saponins as well. So the mate saponins and theobromine have been shown to have these neuroprotective properties that help protect neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So again, a threefold approach. So this isn't like, oh, this one thing is helping, but the other things are helping with something else. No, they're all coming together to give you a major attack on some of these issues that we suffer from. So theobromine can also help improve cognitive function by blocking I was trying to say adenotriphosphate. That's not where I'm going. Adenosine receptors, which help reduce feelings of grogginess. So that like brain fog and that tired feeling and just like, I feel like I haven't slept in 10 days. It helps relieve that in your brain. So the theobromine, though, can also help improve your mood by increasing levels of serotonin and dopamine. So we need a balance of serotonin and dopamine in our system. And what's happening for a lot of people is that we're just not able to access dopamine enough. So we're not able to feel well. Serotonin is malfunctioning, and now we're not able to rest well. So in a short study on this particular tea, on this specific tea, not just any random tea, they gave a group of 30 people who hadn't been drinking the Unimate, and asked them to drink it once a day for 30 days. The results in this very informal study were that people's well-being scores increased by 70%, meaning they had better mental clarity, they were just happier, and they felt better about life, and they were resting better. By 70% by just adding one of the tea a day. That's pretty impactful in our cognitive function, in our mood, and just how we feel about life. So, you guys, I'm a big affirmations person, right? But affirmations alone aren't going to do it. So you need to have this chemical support in the brain for you to be able to get over that hump. And I want to dispel some things about depression and mental decline, mental disorders. Stop treating people as if with depression and whatnot that they can just change it, because a lot of times there's a chemical imbalance like this that's going on with insulin resistance that's causing the brain to have this function. And no amount of I'm focusing on positive, I'm doing all of this is going to change the immense amount of depression that they feel because of this malfunctioning that's going on in the brain with neurons or nerve pathways not being able to talk to each other properly, and all of it just functioning. So let's have a little compassion. And maybe if you know somebody who's suffering with depression really bad, you might want to take a look at some of the other clues. Maybe they're insulin resistant, and helping them understand their insulin resistance could help with that person with their depression or a number of other things. Okay. So the brain, it's also theobromine, amazing stuff. Theobromine has some nootropic effects, potentially enhancing mental performance. And I've definitely seen that. Like this morning without the tea, my brain, 60-year-old woman, is starting to like, oh, I'm struggling to even remember where I put my water down so I can mix my tea so I can whatever. But I start drinking the tea and now I'm more focused. Things are flowing better. This really does help. And so that nootropic effect that, like, I always call it Joe Rogan's alpha brain, but it's not his, it's the one he talks about. This is giving me similar, albeit milder effects to that in your brain by allowing your brain to function more properly, we'll just say. Okay, so and again, it's just reducing the risk of things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. However, what I've also noticed is people with autism and ADHD like me, you would think, this has a mild stimulant. Should I really give it to an ADHD person? This actually has been, I've seen in real life that this has helped with the people who have ADHD in my life. Although there's a small energy component, it helps bring things in. And so the ADHD is well managed. For me, the autism is well managed as well, giving me energy and the mental clarity and less sensitivity to sight, sounds, textures. That all eases when I drink the tea. So again, we're talking about chlorogenic acids, theobromine, and mate saponins in the tea, and why the tea is so amazing. Now, there's another statistic I want to talk about. So the tea is in my profile. It's called Unimate. It's from Unicity. It's the only place on earth you can get it. So just use the link in my profile. Do not go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart. You guys are going to pay more. You're not going to get guarantees. You're not going to any of that. It's not worth it. All right. The lowest price you're going to get is ordering it through an authorized person like me. But this tea is also, you weren't here then if you're asking about the tea. It comes in a packet like this that I just mix in this water, and that's it. I take it everywhere. And it fits really nicely because I don't carry a big purse anymore. You guys, I'm North Idaho small town girl. I have like the over the shoulder tiny bag. That's what I carry. I used to do the heels and the big bags and all the stuff, and I ain't got time for that now. It's my lifestyle now. This goes in my purse every day. No matter where I'm at, I have tea and fiber available, but it doesn't take up any room at all in my purse, and that's it. Not worrying about pulling out tea bags that got funky or steeping tea or any of that. Hey, Steph Coke, I've been talking about you. Are your ears burning? Have your ears been burning, Miss Coke? We're talking about the tea this morning. And it's getting lengthier than I wanted, but I'm going to try and wrap this up. We're talking about chlorogenic acids, theobromine, mate saponins, and triterpenoid saponins in the tea and what they do for you. We've already talked about heart health. We've already talked about anti-diabetic properties. We've already talked about anti-obesity properties. We've talked about anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. And yeah, the tea's kicking in, you guys. And now we're talking about mental performance, but I was just getting ready to talk about energy and physical performance. I'm going to get into the whys, but this tea actually helps improve physical performance by 10 to 15%. I'm so happy to see your face, honey. So when I was an athlete, what I always think about 10 to 15% increase in my physical performance. So, okay, my best bench press, and I didn't do the whole equipped assist thing. I just did what they call raw, so just me and my strength. But I, in competition, bench pressed 275 pounds. Add 10% to that, that would have been over 300 pounds, which is what was my goal was. I was able to bench press 300 pounds in the gym, but not in competition. And partly there's a lot of reasons for that. But then my squat was over 400 pounds, and I'd squatted over 450 in the gym. But even at the 400 pounds, if we added 10 to 15%, that's 40 to 60% pounds on my squat. Like, I won every competition I was in, but would I have loved to have bigger numbers? You damn straight I would have. And then when we look at my deadlift, which was 475 in competition, and I was aiming to get over, I think the number was 507. It's because a dear friend of mine deadlifted that and I wanted to beat it. Now, that was as my joints were failing, I was still able to do all of that. But had I had this, um, the possibility of that 10% increase in my strength would have been mind blowing on the platform. My back held out really well. You guys, one of the things I want to say with powerlifting is if you're doing it correctly, there's not a lot of damage that can happen. It's when people rush and they don't brace and they're not paying attention to their posture and they're not doing all of the small movements to support that, that you can get injured. Okay. I never really had, I'm not going to say that. The only real injury I had from powerlifting was I fell in a contraption called a monolift, and the monolift has these webbing straps that go over top of the bar. And so if you lose your balance or something happens, the straps are there and they're meant to catch the bar so that it's not landing on top of you if you fall. Now, the coach that I had, and I was new, but again, I have a pretty sharp brain. He had moved the straps in because you could move them in or out. Because most of the guys have this really wide grip on their squat, and they're like almost touching the plates. And mine was really narrow and tight to keep my back tight, right? So keeping my back tight was important. But they had the straps in, and so the straps were between my shoulder and my hands. And I looked at the guy and I'm like, nope, we're moving those out so that they're away from my hands. And he got mad and he slammed them back in and said, this is how it's got to be. You get up there and squat. Well, I was squatting in a suit. The suits are really tight and they have what they call a groove in them, and you're meant to sit into them, and it kind of helps you rebound up. And that's how they get that strength. So I was training and the suit threw me and I fell, and my thumb got caught in the strap, and the 300 plus pounds on my back landed on my thumb with a metal bar, and this thumb was actually severed and hanging by a piece of skin. I flipped my hand and held my thumb in my hand while it was barely attached to my hand. So there's that. That's the only injury I've had from powerlifting, and it was complete negligence. But there it is. All right. So at any rate, that physical performance would have been great. Also, the tea and the system and getting the insulin resistance under control, I have noticed, I don't know what Steph thinks, but I have noticed that my healing is much more rapid than it would have been when I was insulin sensitive. In fact, another story, I had a surgery about 4 to 5 months after I started the system, and that surgery was to remove my gallbladder. And I've told the story a little bit. We're going to say it in brief today. Basically, the tubes and the drains and stuff that were supposed to come out, the earliest they would remove them was at 10 days. And they said the average was a couple of weeks, but 14 was maybe the earliest. But I went in on day 10 and I'm like, take these out. Backstory was I had a trip I wanted to go on. It was to Puerto Vallarta. I was going to go do some zip lining. I wanted the tubes gone. When they pulled the tubes, because everything looked good, they finally told me no one had ever come in and had their tubes pulled so quickly, especially not someone with my age. Not only that, but when they went in to do the surgery, they realized that even though I'm a bigger girl, I have a thicker bone structure, I have a different muscle structure, I'm just always going to be a bigger girl, even if I'm thin. My visceral fat was so much less, that fat in and under my stomach, than they would have expected. And all of this, the fat mobilization that we talked about, the cholesterol regulation that we talked about, all of that that we talked about a little bit earlier, and the blood glucose regulation that this helps give, all of that helped reduce the visceral fat. Now they're able to do the surgery much easier, but they were blown away by someone my age and weight having so little visceral fat comparatively. Does it mean I have none? No. It just means that when they look at other people in my age group and size, I had way less visceral fat than they're used to seeing. I did not feel that way before the system, but that happened for me after 3 to 4 months doing the system consistently and not having a perfect diet. It was a sustainable lifestyle. Okay, a couple of more things, a lot more things. So I'm going to try and get through them because I'm again in a talky mood. I'm a very talky person some days. Steffi knows that. All right, so anti-cancer. This is one I don't talk a lot about because I've been cautioned not to mention cancer a lot, but we're gonna go there. In the tea, in yerba mate tea, okay, there are the chlorogenic acids have actually been proven to inhibit the growth of various cancer cells and reduce tumor progression. So you've never heard me talk about that before. I'm not saying it's going to cure cancer, but what we can do is say, okay, it's helping inhibit those cancer cells from forming cancer in the first place. Now, somebody who has a tumor, and it's growing rapidly. I'm not saying it's going to reduce the tumor, but what science is showing is this component, the chlorogenic acids, can stunt the growth of those tumors, helping slow down the progression of them. And that's important. In fact, another story today, today's story day. I have a friend who's in Canada, had some GI tract cancer, okay, colon cancer, and she had been having some discomfort and it had been going on for about a year. And then finally she had to go in and they found out she had cancer in her gut. Now, come to find out she'd had the cancer for a long time, but it grew very, very slowly. Okay. Um, and she now is dealing with trying to get colon cancer, you guys, is rough. Colon cancer is rough. But the doctor told her, her oncologist told her, that in his estimation, after he looked up this product, the two of them together, that he said that's why her tumor did not progress as quickly as he would have expected it to happen. That's somebody who relayed that to me. Now, she said that he told her he wished, instead of the people out front with the insure and whatnot, that she would sit out front of his office with the system and talk to people about the system, because he felt like that would actually be changing his patient's health. So anti-cancer, yes, there are components that both help stop those cells from becoming the cancer and slow the progression of tumors. So that's in yerba mate, and this is a highly concentrated form of yerba mate. All right. So uracilic acid, a component of mate saponins that's in this tea, have been found to inhibit the proliferation of colon cancer cells and exhibit chemopreventative effects against colon cancer. So when I talked about the gal with colon cancer, this is exactly what was happening with her, why her life was extended, why the progression was slowed, why she was able to have a year's worth of time more than they would have expected. Probably had to do with the fact that she was so consistent with the system. Okay, then triterpenoid saponins. We're still on cancer. Triterpenoid saponins can inhibit cancer formation and progression by modulating multiple signaling targets. So, I'm trying to figure out a simpler way to say that. Basically, activating signals that are targeting whether cancer grows or not. Okay. So, when we have this cellular growth and apoptosis, big words, that all starts to signal cancer. So they've been found to be cytotoxic to various cancer cells, making them potential anti-tumor agents. The theo or the triterpenoid saponins. Triterpenoid saponins have been shown to potentially be anti-cancer components. That's huge. You guys have never heard me talk so much about cancer, but I'm done being, careful. I want people to get better. I want you to understand why people are so enthralled by the system when they're suffering and they're getting this kind of help, of course they're going to be excited about it. And this is just the tea. We start to add in the fiber, and we amplify all of these effects even more. And we'll talk about that on another day. But look, then we're going to get to antimicrobial. So chlorogenic acids also have been found to have antimicrobial effects, particularly against bacteria like strep and staph, and by disrupting bacterial membranes. So I walk around barefoot all the time. North Idaho, Native American, you ain't putting shoes on my feet if I don't have to. People always look at me when I'm in the hallways of this condo that I live in, and they're like, "Where are your shoes?" I'm like, "I don't know. I got feet. Do I have to have shoes?" No. People worry about staph and all of this stuff with me not wearing shoes. I never have had those problems. But now we know that this can actually help me be more resilient to the onslaughts of strep and staph by the triterpenoid saponins. Crazy, crazy. So, heart health, anti obesity, anti diabetic, memory function, physical function, anti cancer, and now it's antimicrobial, helping you defend from these things like this from one tea. From one tea. I'm so blown away, you guys. When I get asked, will I do this for the rest of my life? Damn straight. Damn straight, I'm going to do this and give my body all of that every day until they put me in the ground. This, I told my kids, if I'm ever incapacitated, you damn straight better make sure I'm getting my tea and my fiber. Don't skimp on me. And so they know. I get pretty inflamed about it because you guys, there is nothing I believe in more as far as nutrition goes than this system and how it's impacting our health. And yeah, it tastes freaking amazing. So this is the lemon ginger. We do have a lemon flavor. The lemon is a little bit more tart to me, and it tastes like a lemon iced tea or more towards a light lemonade. Really good tasting. You can mix it in less water. You can mix it in more water. You can add stevia to it if you want it sweeter. You can add flavorings like Steph has had my teas when we have cayenne pepper and cinnamon in it for vasodilation and all of that metabolism. You can add those things to this to change the flavor if you want, but you really don't need to. Now in this mug, I'm going to say I cheat. This mug is tea and matcha mixed together. We have a great matcha chai oka product. It's nothing to do with the system, but now I'm doubling down on my efforts with my metabolism by doing that. So I drink it both ways. Can it be mixed? Yes. Yes, it can. Okay. Back to antimicrobial properties, antiviral properties, the triterpenoid saponins. So chlorogenic acids were giving us that protection from staph and strep. The antiviral properties, triterpenoid saponins, are giving us an antiviral effect, which can help in the protection and prevention of viral infections. Another story. You guys, there are so many stories. You understand why I love this so much yet? Because a couple of years ago, when COVID was a big thing, and I can say COVID now, woohoo, without getting banned immediately. I was staying with my daughter and my 3 grandkids, and so it was tight quarters, and we were all living very closely. And I was, she was helping me, I was helping her. The entire group, because I hadn't gotten them on the system, I hadn't gotten her to committed yet, got COVID. I'm living in a house, 4 people diagnosed with COVID. I went and got tested. I did not have it. How? It's supposed to be so contagious. How? Guess how? What I attribute? This was building my immunity. It's giving me those antimicrobial, antiviral effects. Now I'm more resilient to even the onslaught of something like that horrible flu bug, right? So this helped me. I believe I was so excited. I'm like, you're not getting me to stop this. If it's giving me that kind of protection as well as building my health, I'm not going to stop doing it. All right. So, they also act as natural antibiotics and can have similar benefits. Crazy. Antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidative, antiviral. amazing tea. And it doesn't taste like grass. You guys, I tried some stuff earlier on in life and it tasted like I was licking the bottom of a lawnmower and I took it back. Like I'm pretty resilient. I can't do this. This has been easy to drink. In fact, my granddaughter who's now 6, if I leave my tea out because she knows that I don't mind because it's healthy for her, she will drink my whole damn tea all by herself. And it's okay because it's healthy for her. I don't have to worry about that like you do with other things, right? Okay. We're getting there, but there's still more effects, you guys. Respiratory health. So this tea, through the theobromine in it and the triterpenoid saponins, are helping even with your lung function. So theobromine can increase the airflow to your lungs, reduce asthma symptoms, and suppress coughs by blocking certain nerve signals and reducing airway hyperactivity, overactivity in your airways. Yeah, unlike medications, this has no side effects. So, when we talk about that, and then we look at the triterpenoid saponins, so that was theobromine. Triterpenoid saponins act as expectorants. So even if you have a cold or allergies like I've had, how am I surviving my allergies when my eyes block up and stuff, but my lungs are doing okay? I again attribute it to what's happening with the tea. Even that, my allergic reactions to environmental stressors are far less than they've ever been in my life since I've been doing the system. So it helps you clear up mucus when it's built up in your respiratory tract and alleviates those symptoms. For me, I automatically think about allergies, but think about colds and all of that. If you had something that was just naturally helping you keep those lungs clear, and so you're not getting that raspy respiratory crap go on, wouldn't that be amazing? While you're getting, go back to it, while you're getting heart health and while you're getting diabetes health and while you're getting cognitive health and more energy and antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, all of the other stuff. And now we can know that we're taking care of our lungs too from one drink. One drink. Why are we drinking it twice a day? This is why. So then we start to talk about immunity itself, and the theobromine supports your immune system by reducing inflammatory cytokines and potentially influencing antibody concentrations. Blah, right? Blah. What did she just say? Basically, it's improving your immune system through a number of pathways. And that's the theobromine. But now, a couple of the other things that I wasn't aware of and that I was so happy to find out. Again, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to do and share this research. But listen to this. If you watch me, you hear me talk a lot about nutrients, right? Nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. And nutrition doesn't mean, oh, I'm eating a salad and I'm skipping the dressing. No, nutrition is about the nutrients, the vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients that we need to get into our system. And how with insulin resistance, we're also resistant to absorbing these nutrients. So many people with insulin resistance diabetes are running around malnutritioned. Basically, that's the only way I can say it, is they're malnutrition. Diabetes puts you at risk for some malnutrition. Now, with this, what's happening is the triterpenoid saponins, which is one not a lot of us talk about, but the triterpenoid saponins in this have been proven, not just in this, but triterpenoid saponins have been proven to help with healthy nutrient absorption. So now we're turning the dial, right? Instead of being resistant to absorbing vitamins A, B, C, D, E, K, selenium, magnesium, and all of these other components that we need, instead of our body going, yep, it's passing through, we're not getting it, our small intestine is jacked up, we're just and full of fat and we just can't function properly. The tea alone is helping you absorb nutrients. So now if you're taking other vitamins and minerals, or even if you're just eating food off of your plate, you can know that this tea is helping you get the most you can out of those nutrients in the food and supplements that you're taking. That's crazy. Now, okay, so One of the other things I love to talk about, you guys, is the liver. And we talked about the liver a little bit yesterday when we talked about fructose, right? And how damaging fructose and insulin resistance is to your liver, why we're having such a spike in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, especially in children, and most especially in children as early as 6 years old. No, that's not genetic. That has everything to do with our nutrition. But the components in the tea are helping even your liver. So the triterpenoid saponins have this hepatoprotective effects, helping to protect the liver from damage and improve liver function. So we know when we're building up fat and we're having all these toxins run through alcohol and sugars and all, especially fructose, run through the liver, it's causing damage. Well, the tea is helping protect from that damage that's happening because of the nutritional system that we're in currently. That's crazy. So helping your heart, helping your weight, helping your brain, helping your energy, helping your gut, remember, and helping, I don't know if you were here, Steph, and I don't know if you realize this, but antimicrobial effects in this help you be more resilient to strep and staph. Crazy, crazy. So then the mate saponins. So we were talking about triterpenoid saponins. Now the mate saponins have shown that they have a protective effect on the liver, reducing liver enzyme levels like ALT. So when you look at your labs, you'll have ALT and AST. When those start to get too high, we're like, "Ooh, shoot, there's a problem in the liver." The tea not only helps protect that damage in the first place, but it's helping reducing those enzyme levels like that ALT that are signaling that there's liver damage. So we're almost there. Now, one of the other things that I never really heard anybody talk about, and I want to bring this up, is there is some hormonal modulation going on with the tea. So, and that's through the triterpenoid saponins. Those triterpenoid saponins have um, they have a little bit less. I was like, what is that saying? They have a little bit less hormonal activity than, say, a steroid does. But the triterpenoid saponins are helping you with influencing healthy hormone levels throughout your body. So now, when we talk about hormones, if you're anything like me, you thought about hormones as being like your sex hormones, DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, that you get tested for when you do your annual labs. So yeah, it can help with normal levels of those, but what we want to think about is there are a lot of other hormones in the body, things like leptin and ghrelin, things like insulin and glucagon, things like cortisol and thyroid. So when we look at all of these hormones and we understand that triterpenoid saponins can help us regulate and normalize the production of all of these hormones, that's pretty impactful. Okay. Now, the last two I'm going to talk about. There's some additional benefits that we haven't gone over yet that didn't fit into those big categories. So now, until we got down to here, we were primarily talking about chlorogenic acids and mate saponins and maybe some theobromine. And then we start to get into these things where maybe it's just one of them, but they're still adding to this health benefit of the tea. So antispasmodic and diuretic effects. The the theobromines in this can have some activity reducing muscle spasms. Sorry, I had to reach for that. And they also promote the excretion of excess fluids from the body. Now, again, I know there's a number of you who are new. Those of you who've talked to me before or listened to me before know that I talk about kidney health as well, and how so very many things can go wrong when your kidneys are holding on. Hey, Sassy J, when your kidneys are holding on to too much of the wrong stuff and they're just overworked and unable to dump some of these, like excess proteins and salts and whatnot. So the triterpenoid saponins are helping with that healthy function, and I'm going to say in your urinary tract, especially starting with your kidneys, to help you stave off some of those issues as well. Now, there's also gastroprotective effects. And here, the triterpenoid saponins can protect the gastrointestinal tract, reducing the risk of ulcers and other digestive issues. Reducing the risk of ulcers and other digestive issues. Steph, if you're still in here, how many drugs that have been given to people for lipids, for diabetes, for pain, for all of the stuff that starts spiraling, actually start causing some ulcerative effect in the gut. I'm going to say a lot of them. That's not something I'm have looked into, but I know from my time as a medical assistant that a lot of these people, like the lady with the bags of medications, were also suffering from ulcers. Those medications are tearing up your stomach. Oh, thank you, Sassy. So, you guys, I am doing a blog post to kind of condense this information and attach some of the scientific information to it. And I will hope to have that up on my blog by the end of next week. But just keep checking the blog. And that blog link, now that I have my blog up and running, is in the Linktree link. So you'll be able to find it. And my opinion on inositol. Inositol and berberine both, I think, work. Do they work as well as this? I don't believe so. And so I know I've done some research on the difference between this and berberine and inositol, and I just haven't sat and talked about it. So maybe Monday we'll go ahead and talk about the fiber and the differences between berberine and inositol and this fiber and why I prefer this over those. So again, it comes down to, like I talked about with the tea. Fortunately, the tea is, they call it the food of the gods for a reason. All of those things I just talked about, there's a reason they call it the food of the gods. Okay. There's a reason I feel so damn good since I've been starting this. Now, mate saponins, triterpenoids, theobromine, chlorogenic acids. We talked about all these components, right? And all the things they're doing. And I talked about it being a multi-factor approach to a number of these issues, like the liver and the heart and weight and cognitive function and all of that. The fiber, um, to me, is the same. Same principle as what I just talked about with the tea. Now, we had to design the fiber because we couldn't find something as complete as this in nature. So what this is combined 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers that are helping with many of the same things we talked about, but primarily glucose control, lipid control, and gut health. So one of the things that I will say right now, and we'll go into this Monday, that why I love this more than those is, you still are having to take them before every meal. Fiber, more recent studies have been showing that fiber can still be activated in your gut and doing its job for 4 to 5 hours after you take it. So now this is giving me protection. So say you have a meal and you're out and about and you have a moment of weakness, or there was some emotional thing and you just want to reach for that bag of chips or that candy bar. Now, you don't have another balance with you. What are you going to do? You're going to trust and believe that the fiber that's in you is already helping reduce that blood glucose spike because it's still working in your gut according to science. Now, me, I choose to have an extra one before I have those. But if you don't have it available because you're just in a weird spot, the fiber continues to work. Now, the berberine and inositol have not been shown in anything that I've looked at to have that effect. Also, this is feeding your gut microbiome, and I'm talking way more about it than I should today, but there's so many more benefits to this than just berberine or inositol. Do they work? Yes. Do they work as well and as completely? I don't believe so. And so we'll bring you that science on Monday. Okay, how about that? You'll get me all excited and I'll spend another 2 hours talking about the fiber, but we'll talk about the fiber Monday. Today, can I recap really quickly? I'm not going to go into all of the reasons why, but I want to recap what we just talked about with the tea so you can understand why this tea is so powerful, why you see so many people drinking it, and why it's now our drink of choice over things like coffee and whatnot. By the way, coffee has chlorogenic acids in it, okay? This tea, not a normal yerba mate tea. A normal yerba mate tea has less chlorogenic acids than coffee. This tea, because it's extracted and concentrated, has 3 times the chlorogenic acids than coffee does. So this chlorogenic acids, the theobromine and the mate saponins, according to nutritionists that I've sat and trained with, they're saying that those things are called adaptogens. And what they're helping you do is, even though there's some naturally occurring caffeine, and I didn't even add the caffeine in here, that was a component I wanted to look at how it's benefiting health. We'll have to deal with that another day. But this is helping that energy rush. So just like we're slowing down the delivery of glucose and helping the delivery of nutrients and all of that, this slows down the effects of the caffeine. Not in that you're not going to have a great energy pump, you are, but an energy pump that's, remember, healthy for your heart. So it's healthy for your heart. Those adaptogens are helping keep this caffeine in check. So we have great energy, but it's an amazing feeling of energy and no crashes. You just kind of naturally come down from that caffeine, that energy, um, in a more natural way. So why are we doing two a day? So I do one in the morning, like right now. I'll be finishing this in a minute. Now I got to go paint my son's house. They're getting ready. We're getting ready to move to Kentucky. He's deployed. We have a really tight, busy summer. So I'm painting the interior of his house to get it ready for sale. So after I'm off the live today, because I have my grandson all weekend and another paint day on Sunday, I'm going to be going to paint his house. How do I survive that? Damn straight. I bring my tea. Now, the tea helps me when I'm having, joint pain and fatigue and all of that. I'm 60, I've had 20 broken bones. I'm going to have some joint pain. This helps. And it helps me have the energy to get through that kind of work at this age. So the tea is extremely important to me. Um, all right, so we're gonna go. I said I was gonna go back over this, you guys, and then I gotta get ready to go paint because I'm about an hour late from what I thought I was going to. So we talked about the tea, all of these amazing things: chlorogenic acids, theobromine, mate saponins, helps with your cardiovascular health, lowering your blood pressure, helping you control those cholesterol levels, helping you balance your HDL or increase your HDL and reduce your LDL. Crazy stuff. It helps with regulating your blood glucose absorption and control, reducing a blood sugar spike or blood sugars when you're in a fasted state, and reducing a spike after you've eaten. And I've always talked about the fiber doing that, and I honestly did not understand that this is also happening to help with that blood sugar spike, reducing the blood sugar spike. So why is this a system and why does it work so well? Again, a multi-factor approach. So we're having this tea, energy, satiety. I didn't even talk about the satiety yet from the tea. How did I miss that in today's talk? And then we're reducing blood sugar problems and lipid problems together. Package them together. We have an amazing system that's, in my opinion, kicking the butt of most of these medications out there that are causing pancreatic failure, liver failure, kidney problems, thyroid problems, and gastroparesis. This actually helps with gastroparesis, not induces it like the drugs do. Okay, so anti-diabetic. It aids in weight loss and obesity. It helps with, it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It has help for your cognitive function and your mental health. It gives you energy and increases physical performance. It has anti-cancer properties, antimicrobial properties. It helps with your respiratory health. I'm running out of breath. It helps with nutrient absorption. That's one of the big things for me. I mean, all of this has been big, but y'all know how much I love talking about getting nutrients into your body and how important they are. So, and it's also protecting your liver, helping with hormone production, and helping you move stuff out of your kidneys that needs to get out anyway. So you guys, so many effects from one tea, and it tastes great, and it's aiding your health and not destroying your health. Um, have a wonderful weekend, Ro, and good luck. You're probably working today. Thanks for dropping in. I know that Jim did a very similar talk yesterday, and that's why I decided to do this. I was like, how come you haven't talked about this for so long? But amazing research and results. I will put that up now. There is a video in my links called The Tea, and it's Andrew Huberman. There's one of them, Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist, who's talking about this tea acting like a GLP-1. So I will say that before I go. All of those drugs out there where people are taking and injecting This trizepatide, Monjaro, Trulicity, all of those, they're they're producing GLP-1 in your system. How is that happening? GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1. Um, that is helping with satiety, both in your brain and your gut, and doing a number of other things. But those drugs, it's called exogenous. So it's not something that is created in um, our system. It's something that's put in artificially. You have to mix it up because it's pretty fragile. You got to mix it up and inject it right away. But it's not something your body's producing. And so, what I know throughout time is any component in the body that we're just putting in to try and affect the health over a period of time works less effectively and causes more damage to health than by adding in nutrition that helps us do what we're supposed to do anyway. So the chlorogenic acids in this are helping with GLP-1 production in your own body, giving you some satiety both in your brain and in your gut. So in your gut, it's helping your gut feel a little bit distended so that you're having this feeling of fullness, even though there's nothing in it. And then you have this vagal nerve that connects your gut to your brain. Now, I've talked a little bit about how not getting energy to your brain can cause you to feel hungry because your brain is saying, I need energy. And what's energy? Food. But when we're getting energy to the brain and affecting these neural pathways, like I've talked about with this, one of the side effects of that is we have some satiety. We're not so hungry. We don't want to eat everything in sight. Plus, we're feeling better when we drink it. And that's helping everything as well. So, it can increase this particular tea, not the everyday bagged yerba mate tea that you get, but this particular tea can increase your own GLP-1 production by 70%, putting it very close to the effects that those exogenous GLP-1s like tirzepatide, Mounjaro, Trulicity, Ozempic have in your body. So this is doing it by supporting your body and allowing your body to produce what it needs naturally without overriding it and saying, you will take this. Okay, so, and this has not been shown to cause pancreatic cancer, pancreatic shutdown, liver problems, kidney problems, heart problems, thyroid problems, or gastroparesis, where you get food stuck in your gut that just won't move out. Now, some of those GLP-1s, they're producing satiety by slowing down your gastrointestinal tract so that it's just not contracting as it should. So you're holding onto the food longer. And of course, you're going to feel full. You have this bolus of food sitting in your gut that's not moving anywhere. So you're a little bit nauseated because you got this food just sitting there way too long. And your musculature, the smooth muscle in your intestines and whatnot, are just not contracting properly. Leaks out into your liver and your gallbladder as well. It's starting to freeze up those muscles in there, and now stuff just isn't moving, and many people have ended up in the hospital to have that blockage removed. Crazy thing with the system, this is increasing GLP-1 naturally, but as I talked about earlier, it's helping move the stuff through at a natural normal rate while increasing nutrient absorption and not stopping it. Getting your insulin resistance under control will actually naturally help you build more muscle. Those GLP-1 drugs have been shown to have about up to 40% of the weight loss that they induce comes from muscle loss. Now, our approach is to address insulin resistance. In an insulin resistant state, before you ever take those drugs, you're already having a hard time putting on muscle. And so as you get older, you do not replace that muscle. You have what you have and you're working with that. So if you're losing up to 40% of that muscle and you're in your 50s or 60s like me, honey, you're screwed. You're not getting that back. It's not coming back. Your body is not in the mode of building like it was in its 20s. So taking those drugs is putting you at a lot of risk. This is helping you build it back naturally, helping you produce your own GLP-1 naturally, helping your muscles become more sensitive to insulin so that you're not losing muscle to lose fat. Weight loss is not the right way to look at it. Fat loss is what you want to think about. People talk to me all the time and say, "Hey, I've been on it a month and I don't see my scale moving." Oh my gosh, no, you're not. No, you're not. Does it mean you're not losing fat? No, it doesn't. It means you're likely losing fat. And because now your muscle cells are even more insulin sensitive, they're getting the nutrition they want. And what's likely happening is you're swapping healthy muscle for fat. That's not going to translate on your scale. It's going to translate in your belt size. It's going to translate in the way your shirts fit. It's going to translate in the way whether you can get your feet in your shoes or not, but it may not show up on the scale. It didn't for me for about 6 weeks. And I remember, you guys, I'm human. I'm going to swear, I was pissed off. I'm like, how am I doing this? This was supposed to be the one thing that helped me, and I haven't even lost any weight. But I went and grabbed some shorts that I bought just before I got to the system because I was like so excited. I don't wear denim. My autism, I don't wear denim because it's one of the triggers for me. But I think it looks cool, and so I wanted to have these denim shorts. I bought them. They didn't fit. They were too small. But I was like, I'm going to do the system. I'm going to get my diabetes under control. It's all going to be good. They're going to fit. So when I was told what I just told you about weight loss, I was like, I'm going to go try. The only thing I have in my closet that can really gauge that is because I have a closet full of yoga pants, you guys. I was an athlete for years. I have very few dress pants and stuff. I have a lot of yoga pants, so it's hard to gauge. But I bought these shorts. They were too small. I tried them on after hearing this. The waist was now fitting where I could barely get it buckled before. The legs and butt were already too loose. By the time summer rolled around and I could wear those shorts, I only wore them 2 or 3 times and they were so big I had to give them away. So, was I losing fat while my scale wasn't changing? Absolutely, I was. Did I have to lose weight on the scale to know that my health was getting better? No, I didn't. You'll be surprised when your body starts to tighten up, when your skin starts to look better, as you're losing fat, maintaining muscle, your skin health, all of the other things are getting better. It's a way better way to do it. How many of you guys have heard about Ozempic butt or Ozempic face? Part of the reason is they're losing weight so rapidly, the skin can't keep up, and they're losing the muscle that's underneath the fat that gives you structure. What do you want? Do you want to lose weight at all costs? Lose muscle, lose skin tone, lose, I don't know, possibility of losing thyroid or pancreatic function? Or do you want to support your body? Maybe take a minute longer to get there, but get there while you're building your health throughout your body back. That's what I want. Melba says, where in Kentucky am I going? So the like anybody that knows me knows I am tied to the hip to my grandson, right? You guys watch me long enough, you'll know that little boy has my heart and soul. He has a very devastating disorder. I help with his care a lot to give mom and dad a relief. And so, dad took a job in Cincinnati, Ohio, a pretty high level job working on next level um, technology for our aircraft. And that means we need to move there. It means if they're there, I'm not staying in Maryland. There is no place in the world I'm going to stay and have my grandson that far away from me. And I tell him all the time, if he, although I don't like the cold, if they move to Siberia, damn straight, I'm going to Siberia. But so we're going to go just below Cincinnati, uh, between Cincinnati and Louisville is where we're going to be. They haven't found their forever home yet. And as soon as they do that, then I'm going to find mine because we already know I got to be close to that boy, right? So my forever home has less to do with the aesthetics of the home and everything to do with the location so I can be close to him. Somewhere between Cincinnati and Louisville, probably more towards the north end, like Independence or Florence. That's where we're going to end up. Okay. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to go. I got to go get ready to go paint this house. There's a little boy who's waiting to get his bedroom back. And he would absolutely love Nana to finish his room and get his bed put back together. But again, I want to say, you guys, I do want to say before I get off, had I not found this system 3 years ago, there is no way I would have even talked about painting my son's entire couple thousand square foot home because I was in so much pain, had so little energy, and there's just no way you could have convinced me to do it. I could hardly walk. How the hell am I going to paint a house? Now I'm going up and down stairs. I'm painting houses. I'm going on hikes with my grandson. We're playing in the playground. We're swimming in the swimming pool. A life I didn't have 3 years ago. And this, a tea twice a day, and a pre-meal drink before I eat. That's all I had to do to gain my health back. Okay, you guys, I'm going to talk about fiber on Monday because I want everybody to understand how important it is. And yes, we'll address the differences between berberine and inositol and this fiber and why I'm such a proponent of this. I'm not saying that those others don't work, but I'm saying that our fiber gives a more complete approach to the issue, and that's why I love it. Okay, so we'll see you guys Monday. And then in the meantime, message me. I love when you guys message me, especially when it's would you talk about this, or would you, can you address that? Whatever, like the inositol, it gives me fuel to my fire for me to go do the research and bring it to you guys. Look for the blog post next week. I will definitely post about it when it's done. And have a great weekend. As always, spend time with your family. Unplug from all the stuff. We don't need the worries of the world on our shoulders every day. We need to fill our souls and pay attention to our families. That's what's going to give us longevity. Actually, that's a piece that helps you with your insulin resistance. As your stress levels go down and you unplug and you find some joy in your life, it will actually help with your insulin sensitivity. So do that. We'll see you guys Monday. Have a beautiful weekend. Any of you guys who said you couldn't access the link, please just message me and I will do my best to get it to you directly. Have a blessed day and a great weekend, you guys. Melba, thank you for all your support. And everybody in here, thank you for your support. I saw all the time some of you guys shared this live. Thank you for that, because when people start to get answers, the people we love start to get better. Thank you for sharing, and we'll see you Monday. Have a great day, guys.